That's the point of moonboarding, in my opinion, is to create movement out of unideal, non-obvious positions without feet that provide you the move. Because just doing a move with an obvious foothold is like, oh, that's the foothold you're supposed to use, and that's the move you're supposed to do. That's a different type of climbing than the moonboard. The moonboard is these non-optimal positions with non-optimal foot choices, and then you create this movement. But at the same time, I think that the factors that allow that climb to be so hard are a lot simpler, right? Like this one moonboard movement, if you were really, 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 really strong and really good at that, I think that climb would not be that crazy. That's just like my read. But no matter how strong you are on this TB2 type of climb, it still will be really difficult. And I find that to be really good climbing, really good route setting, more fun, more enjoyable. And Mike kind of talks about that in the beginning of the video as well, in terms of making these climbs. He's like, these climbs are pretty easy to make. They're just like, I don't know, the same moves as what we would be doing on easier climbs, but just like more difficult, and then you just stack them and it's pretty easy to make hard climbs. It really is.
I don't have a good answer to that, because it made me think about playing devil's advocate when you're talking about the moonboard and making something really hard by having an awkward position. It made me think of, I don't know if Jamie Emerson, I don't know if this is his actual quote or if he took this from someone, this idea of there's no awkward climbs, there's only awkward climbers. Because in that post I made, I say moonboard problems suck, or can suck, but there is something to learn from those certain specific awkward moves. And what it made me think, though, where you said if you're just brutally strong on those, you can just get it done, versus all those guys were brutally strong on the tension board, but that was necessary but not sufficient for climbing that kind of V15 style, where on the moonboard and Aiden Roberts's move, being strong enough was probably necessary and sufficient. Like, yes, you need to have some climbing IQ, but honestly, there was a lot of, here's your right hand, your hand foot matching, just fucking go. Like, are you strong enough? And just to finish up that thought, like, I've gone in deep on how single movements on the moonboard, even though it's very narrow, how you can start peeling layer after layer after layer of optimizing those small little things. But there is an element of, there's just less factors going on when you have one hard move with one foot.
Yeah, and I do want to make one point here because it's pretty interesting. I personally have fun on both styles, the straightforward two movers that have no beta reading whatsoever, and then I have a lot of fun in this like really solving style. And since I was a kid, I've always enjoyed that, and I'm not one to say that one's better or worse than the other. But for the sake of the conversation of difficulty, when we're talking about difficulty, the simpler the climb, the more we should see for the perfect ideal strength and the ideal style, what grade is it? Because as the simpler the climb gets, the less you can cheat the climb, right? And so going back to that, Josh is talking about that one podcast that got roasted. Cheating exists in climbing. It just does, right? And so that's why Josh made that tip, because the stronger you are and the better you are at climbing, the more you're cheating up climbs, right? You're just doing it the way that you can get up the wall, right? There's no Tim tells you that's the way and you do it. No, like, we're looking up, all of us are finding the best way to get up the wall, right? And so therefore, and that's why I make that comment where Zach immediately finding a beta break is like, that's good climbing, but he's cheating the climb. He's not doing it the way they intended it. Therefore, they fixed it, right? To make it less cheatable. But hey, let's face it, we're trying to cheat, right? We are trying to do that, right? And so there's just no cheating available, or very, very, very little cheating available on the moonboard. Therefore, you're going to get a very raw grade. You're going to get a very, very raw grade of exactly how difficult this climb is. But that's a difference in and this is such a nuanced conversation. Like, this is such a nuanced conversation. Most of us aren't gonna really be in line in how we think about this stuff. So I do think there's a nuanced conversation, and the difference in difficulties are still being discovered.